The silent power of withdrawal, how reclaiming your energy rewires both your psychology and theirs. The hidden truth buried inside this title is not about revenge. It's not about playing games. It's about something far more dangerous, far more transformational. It's about the moment you finally stop leaking your power into someone who never earned it. And in that silence, in that withdrawal, something seismic shifts, not just in them, but inside the architecture of who you are becoming. You know exactly what it feels like. You send a message and then you wait. You refresh. You check. You tell yourself you're not checking, but you are. You craft the perfect response to something they haven't even said yet. You rehearse conversations in the shower. You hold your phone like it's a lifeline, like the right notification will finally confirm what you've been desperately needing to believe, that you matter to them. And somewhere deep inside you, beneath the hope and the obsession, and the soft ache that lives in your chest, you already know the truth. You are chasing someone who is not running toward you. Stop. Just stop right there. Freeze this moment. Because what I am about to tell you is not comfortable. It is not the kind of wisdom that feels warm when it lands. This is the kind of truth that burns on the way down and then heals you from the inside out. Here is the paradox that most people spend years refusing to see. The more you chase, the more you destroy the very thing you're trying to create. Not because people are cruel, not because love is a game, but because of how the human mind works, how desire functions at a neurological level, how attraction and value are computed beneath the surface of our conscious awareness. Your pursuit, no matter how sincere, no matter how well-intentioned, is triggering something in their psychology that pushes them further from you with every step you take toward them. But here's what no one talks about. Here's what the late-night spiral of checking their social media never shows you, not just for them, for you. Fundamentally, permanently, irreversibly for you. This video is not about manipulation. It is not a guide to playing hard to get. It is about something infinitely more powerful. The psychology of reclaiming your center, the neuroscience of perceived value, and the ancient philosophical truth that the only person whose attention should obsess you is your own. Stay with me, because what you are about to understand will not just change how you relate to one person. It will change the entire way you move through the world. The human brain does not assign value based on availability. It assigns value based on uncertainty. This is not a theory. This is neuroscience. Dopamine, the molecule most associated with motivation and desire, is not released when you get what you want. It is released most powerfully in anticipation of an uncertain reward. Robert Sapolsky, the renowned Stanford neurobiologist, demonstrated through decades of primate research that dopamine firing spikes highest not in guaranteed reward scenarios, but in 50% probability scenarios, when the outcome is unknown. What does this mean for human relationships? It means that when you are constantly available, constantly responsive, constantly orbiting someone's life, you have eliminated the uncertainty. You have flattened the dopamine curve. You have, without knowing it, made yourself neurologically boring to their reward system. The moment you stop chasing, you reintroduce uncertainty, and their brain, operating on ancient, evolutionary wiring, begins to fire. This is not manipulation, this is biology. In 1966, psychologist Jack Bream introduced a concept called psychological reactance, the powerful motivational state that arises when a person perceives that their freedom to have something is being threatened or removed. In plain language, tell someone they can't have something, or let them sense that it's slipping away, and they will want it more. Not because they suddenly discovered your worth, but because the human psyche is hardwired to resist loss. When you were chasing, you were giving. You were making yourself easy, present, guaranteed. And things that are guaranteed are not missed. When you stop, you are not playing a game. You are simply withdrawing what was being taken for granted. And their psyche does what psyches do. It wakes up. It registers the absence. It begins to assign value retroactively to something it didn't protect when it had the chance. But here is where this goes from psychology to philosophy, from strategy to transformation. James Clear, in his landmark work on habit formation, argues that the most powerful shift a person can make is not behavioral, it is identity level. You do not chase lasting change by trying to change your actions. You change by changing who you believe you are. The person who is constantly chasing has, at their core, adopted an identity of lack. An identity that says, I must earn love. I must prove my worth. I must perform in order to deserve presence. The moment you stop chasing, truly stop. Not as a tactic, but as an awakening, you are making an identity declaration. You are saying, without words, without announcement, I am not someone who begs for what should be freely given. And that shift, that quiet, seismic internal shift, does something that no chase ever could. It makes you magnetic, not because you performed magnetism, but because you became it. Let me ask you something that you may have been avoiding. How long have you been doing this? How many months or years have you spent in the waiting room of someone else's attention? How many mornings have you woken up with the first thought being them? How many decisions, where you went, what you wore, what you posted, what you said, have been quietly shaped by the question, will this make them notice me? And what has it cost you? Not just the time, not just the energy. What has it cost you in terms of yourself? The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals he never intended to be rid. These words, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. He was not talking about romantic love. He was talking about the universal truth that the thing blocking your path forward is rarely outside of you. It is the attachment, the clinging, the refusal to release what is not yours to hold. And Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust and emerged to write one of the most transformative psychological texts of the 20th century, said something that should crack you open. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You cannot change whether someone values you. You cannot force connection, manufacture reciprocity, or bargain your way into being chosen. But you can, with devastating precision, change what you allow, what you pursue, and who you are in the process of living your life. The cost of continuing to chase is not just wasted time. It is the erosion of your self-concept. Every message left on read that you excuse. Every plan cancelled that you rationalize. Every red flag you choose not to see. These are not just moments. They are deposits into a story you are telling yourself about your own worth. And that story, if left unchallenged, becomes the architecture of your future relationships, your career, your entire life. Fear of letting go feels like safety, but it is the most expensive illusion you will ever pay for. The regret of the unlived life, the version of you that never stopped chasing, never reclaimed the energy, never became the person you were built to be. That regret does not announce itself loudly. It accumulates quietly in small surrenders, in dimmed ambitions, in the slow forgetting of who you were before you handed your power to someone who didn't know what to do with it. You are not running out of time, but you are spending it every day on something. The question is on what? Stopping the chase is not an event. It is a practice. It is a daily architecture of choices that, stacked together, rebuild a person from the inside. Here is the system, not as advice, but as a discipline. Before you touch your phone, before you check notifications, before you allow the outside world to colonize your mind, spend the first 15 minutes of your day in deliberate self-orientation. This is not meditation as a trend. This is a neurological practice of priming your identity before external input can destabilize it. Write one sentence every morning that begins with the words, "Today I am someone who," and finish it with the person you are choosing to be, not the person hoping for a text, the person building something. Most people chasing another person are not chasing that person. They are chasing a feeling, safety, validation, the confirmation of their own lovability. Get ruthlessly honest about what emotional need the chase is serving, and then ask what other avenue can fulfill this need that I actually control. Redirect the energy, not suppress it. Redirect it into a skill, into a project, into a friendship that feeds you, into a version of your life that doesn't require someone else's participation to feel meaningful. Every time you reach for your phone to check, to message, to circle back, notice it. Don't shame it, name it, say internally, that's the old pattern. That's the identity I'm releasing. Then do one small action aligned with who you are becoming instead. It does not have to be dramatic, it just has to be chosen. This is how identity changes, not in grand gestures, in thousands of micro redirections. Because it does. Your energy is finite. Your attention is the most valuable resource you own, more valuable than your time, because time without attention produces nothing. Create non-negotiable focus blocks in your day where you are building something, a body, a skill, a business, a creative practice. These blocks are sacred. They are where the new you is constructed, brick by brick, in the silence left by the chase you abandoned. There will be moments, especially in the first weeks, where the pull is physical, where the urge to reach out feels almost gravitational. This is not weakness. This is withdrawal from a dopamine loop your brain has built around this person. Treat it accordingly. Breathe through it. Work out through it. Write through it. Call a friend through it. The feeling is real. It is not, however, a signal that you should act on it. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to feel it without obeying it. The deepest work, and the most important, is this: you must become someone whose internal reference point is not located in another person's behavior toward them. This is the work of months, of years. But it begins with one question, asked daily. What would the person I am becoming do right now? Not the person desperate for attention, not the person rehearsing messages, the person who knows their worth without needing it confirmed, the person who can sit with their own company and find it enough. Ask that question, then do that thing, every single day. This is not self-help, this is self-construction, and it is the most radical, most difficult, most necessary work you will ever do. Here is what happens when you stop chasing them. In the beginning, nothing, silence, maybe relief on their end, maybe indifference, and you will be tempted to interpret that silence as confirmation of your fear, that you didn't matter, that stopping was a mistake, that you should have tried harder. Don't. Because what is happening beneath that silence is a process they may not even be conscious of. Their brain is registering an absence it didn't expect. Their dopamine system is searching for the certainty you used to provide and finding nothing. And in that nothing, something begins to stir: curiosity, recalibration, the retroactive assignment of value to what they no longer have. Some of them will reach back out, some won't. And here is the truth that will only make sense once you've done the work. By the time they do, you may no longer need them to. Because here is what else happens when you stop chasing them. And this is the part that will change your life. You get yourself back. The attention you were pouring outward comes home. The energy you were spending on someone who wasn't spending it on you. That energy lands back in your hands, and you get to decide what to build with it. And the person who emerges from that process, quieter, steadier, more rooted in their own worth, that person is not chasing anyone. That person is being chosen, and choosing carefully. Now here is what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not after you. Feel ready. Right now, in this moment, say it out loud if you can. Write it down if you can't. These words or your own version of them. I am someone who invests energy where it is returned. I am someone who does not perform for approval. I am someone who is building a life so full, so intentional, so aligned with my deepest values that I do not have time to chase what is not chosen to be with me. For the next 30 days, every impulse to check, to reach out, to orbit their life, redirect it. Redirect it to one brick in the life you are building. 30 days, one small redirection at a time. Track it. Watch who you become. One person, one real person in your life who knows what you are doing and why. Not to report to, not to be judged by, but to witness your becoming. Because transformation done in secret is fragile. Transformation witnessed becomes permanent. Marcus Aurelius, alone in his tent at the edge of an empire, wrote words that have survived nearly 2,000 years. Words for himself that became a gift to the world. And among those words, this: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control whether they chase you back. You cannot control whether they wake up and recognize what they had. You cannot control the timeline or the outcome or the story. But you have absolute, sovereign, total control over one thing: who you decide to become while you wait, or while you walk away. The goal is not to be perfect in this process. The goal is not to feel nothing, to need no one, to become an island of cold self-sufficiency. The goal is to be relentless, relentlessly honest with yourself, relentlessly committed to your own becoming, relentlessly focused on building a life that doesn't beg for anyone's participation to feel worth living. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be relentless. This is your moment, not someday, not when it hurts less, now, because the person you are meant to be is not waiting on anyone else's decision. That person is waiting on yours. Make it. If this reached something in you that needed reaching, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Not because views matter, because people matter. And someone in your life right now is chasing something that is costing them themselves. Subscribe, stay close. Because this is just the beginning of the conversation.